Welcome to a deep dive on, well, deep dives. You sent over a stack of articles on record press operators, so we're going to spin that into a career deep dive for you.
Really interesting time for it, too. Vinyl's hot again, right? Like, really hot. But it's more than just a trend, you know?
Way more, and that's what we're here to unpack. Like one article called This Job Tending a Machine That Presses Vinyl with a Negative Impression of a Master Disc. I think I get it, but can you break that down a bit?
Yeah, negative impression makes it sound kind of harsh, huh? It's actually super precise and cool. Think of it like you're loading this lump of vinyl compound, they call it a biscuit. How great is that? Onto the press.
Okay, so far so good. No actual biscuits were harmed.
Exactly. So you got your biscuit, and you carefully align this master lacquer that's like the reversed mold of the music. Tons of pressure gets involved, carefully controlled heat. It's like alchemy, turning that blank slate into a record.
From biscuit to bob, all thanks to precise pressure and heat. But there's got to be more to it than just pushing a button, right?
Oh, for sure. This is hands-on work, definitely physically demanding, and yeah, there's repetition. But you're using your senses. You're feeling the materials, listening for any little wobble in the press. It's detail work, but that's how you get a really good pressing.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal, though I gotta admit, noisy, potential exposure to heat and chemicals, not exactly the rock star image I had in my head.
Maybe not rock star, but there's a whole crew involved, you know? You've got quality control, making sure each record is perfect, maintenance, keeping those presses running. It's a team effort, and that shared passion for music, for vinyl, that's got to be cool to be around.
So it's not just about the technical stuff, it's about the people, the vibe. It's like being part of a club.
100%. Yeah. And speaking of being picky, we got to talk about what a good press operator is actually looking for in those records. We're talking tiny details most people wouldn't even notice, like is the hole in the center perfectly centered? Any warping that could make the needle skip? There's even something called non-fill, where the grooves aren't like fully formed. Not wild, right?
Wow, I never knew there were so many things to watch out for. Makes you appreciate those perfect records even more. But what happens when you spot a flaw? Is it a total loss, or can you fix it?
That's where the real skill comes in. Sometimes, yeah, you can buff out a minor thing, adjust a setting, but a major issue, that record's toast. Got to keep those standards high, you know? Reminds me of this one time, actually.
Ooh, story time. Hit me with a pressing plant tail.
All right, so picture this. Limited edition run for this huge E-band, super collectible stuff. I was stoked to be on the job. But as the records are getting pressed, we notice this tiny flaw in the run-out groove that's the very end after the music's done.
Okay, what kind of flaw are we talking? Something that would mess up the sound.
It didn't affect the tunes, thankfully, but it was a visual thing. Like millimeters off, but those hardcore fans, they'd notice. We had to trash the whole batch, thousands of records. Tough lesson, but it drilled into me. Details matter in this business.
Talk about a quality control crash course. That actually makes me think about something else from the article's career paths. You don't just press records forever, right? There's room to move up.
Totally. Get enough experience, you could go into quality assurance, like you're the guardian of good sound now. Or management, run the whole show, lots of options.
I bet teaching new folks is rewarding too. Passing on those skills, the love for the craft.
Absolutely. I've trained my share of operators, and seeing that aha moment when they press their first record, priceless.
Yeah.
It's a tradition, but also constantly evolving, which is cool. And speaking of that, your research mentioned how vinyl's comeback is good news for job seekers, right?
Big time. Seems like it's more than just nostalgia driving this demand for skilled press operators. But what does that actually mean for someone trying to get their foot in the door?
It's a good time to be interested, that's for sure. But loving music isn't enough. Got to put in the work, too.
So, passion step one, what comes next? What advice would you give someone wanting to make this their gig?
First off, be a sponge. Go beyond just reading about it. Hit up local pressing plants. Lots of them do tours. Talk to the people actually doing the work.
Nothing beats getting your hands dirty, or at least, being in the room where it happens.
Exactly. And networking. Essential. Industry events, online forums, Vinyl Collective, Reddit's Vinyl Community, trade mags like Billboard. The more you're out there, the more opportunities pop up.
So it's what you know, A&D who you know. Classic combo.
Right on. And while you don't need a fancy degree for this, some technical chops can really give you an edge. Learn the ins and outs of the machines, the different vinyl types, pressing techniques. There's even online courses now for that.
Sounds like a mix of brains, creativity, and a whole lot of love for the groove.
Nailed it. Now, once you land that interview, that's a whole nother art form.
All right, so you walk into the interview. What's the vibe? What are they looking for beyond just Do you like records?
Passion's good, essential even, but they want to know you can handle the curveballs. One article mentioned they asked about, like, what challenges pop up during pressing, and how would you solve them?
Ooh, getting put on the spot. So it's problem-solving time. How do you ace that?
To show them you're not just button pushing, you get the science of it. Like, say the grooves are coming out too shallow. You got to talk about temperature, pressure, how you tweak the settings,
Right.
or mention cleaning the stampers. Those are the metal discs that make the grooves, because dirt equals bad sound. Details, details.
It's like you're a vinyl detective. Speaking of which, another question they mention, how do you make sure things stay consistent, high quality, through a whole batch of records?
Ah, the million-dollar question, especially for those audiophile releases where people are paying big bucks.
Right, gotta be perfect.
You nail this answer by showing you understand the whole process, checking those master lacquers before you even start, then constant checks along the way, visual, audio, even dropping jargon like, oh yeah, use a microscope for the grooves, strobe light to check the turntable speed, pro-level stuff.
Man, who knew there was so much to it? It's technical, it's artistic, it's detail-oriented. No wonder vinyl's having a moment.
It's a real art form.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I hold a finished record, I think about everything that went into it, the musicians, the engineers, the folks at the pressing plant. It's a team effort, and the result is something special.
Totally. Makes you want to go drop the needle on something right now.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, it seems like being a record press operator is a real deal career. Gotta have the passion, the eye for detail. What else?
That love for the craft never hurts. Vinyl's got this timeless quality, and being the one who puts the grooves in that plastic, you're part of keeping that alive.
From biscuit to bop, connecting people through music, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Each record could spark a memory, start a dance party. You're putting good vibes out into the world.
Love it. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us. Maybe someday we'll be jamming to a record you pressed. Until next time, happy spinning, everyone.